Hoka. Have you ever looked at the sky and asked, why me? Why does life seem to punish the ones who try their best? If you've ever felt like giving up, this story is for you. Because sometimes the worst moments lead us exactly where we were meant to be. The sun was setting behind the narrow skyline of the small town of Elmswood. The golden light flickered on the windows of the modest cafe, where Aarav sat alone, staring at his reflection in a half-empty coffee cup. His hands trembled slightly as he scrolled through the email one more time. An official rejection from the company he had dreamed of joining for years. 3 years of hard work. Dozens of sleepless nights. And all it took was one message to shatter everything he believed about himself. We regret to inform you. The words echoed in his mind like a cruel joke. Around him, laughter and music filled the cafe, but Aarav's world had gone completely silent. His phone buzzed. His mother, again. He didn't pick up. What could he say? That he failed. That the job he promised he would get slipped away, just like everything else in his life seemed to. He took a deep breath and stepped outside. The evening air was cold, biting against his face. Across the street, a group of kids were playing football, shouting, laughing, falling, getting back up. Just like life was supposed to be. He envied them for a moment. That pure, fearless joy that adults forget how to feel. Aarav walked aimlessly through the streets until he reached the old bridge at the edge of town. The one where he and his father used to fish when he was little. He leaned against the railing, eyes fixed on the slow-moving river below. It was quiet there, too quiet. He remembered his father's words, "Long ago, son, life won't always go your way. But the current never stops moving. Someday, it'll carry you where you need to be." That memory burned in his chest. His father had passed away 2 years earlier, after a long illness. Since then, Aarav had promised himself he would make him proud. But tonight, that promise felt broken. He looked at his reflection in the dark water. Tired eyes, unshaven face, dreams fading faster than the daylight. Just then, a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Hey, are you okay?" He turned to see a woman standing a few feet away. She looked around his age, maybe 26, with a kind but curious face. She held a worn-out sketchbook in her hand. "I'm fine," he muttered, quickly wiping his eyes. She smiled gently. "You don't look fine. But that's okay. Most people who say they're fine aren't." Her honesty disarmed him. For a moment, he didn't know how to reply. "I'm just tired," he said finally. "You ever feel like life just keeps testing you, again and again?" The woman nodded, her eyes softening. "Every day. But you know what? The funny thing about tests, they always teach you something before they end." She sat down on the railing beside him and opened her sketchbook. Inside were dozens of drawings, faces, streets, sunsets. Each page told a story. "This bridge," she said, sketching absent-mindedly. "It's where I come to remember that life still has beauty, even when it feels unfair. You just have to look long enough." Something about her words struck him deeply. He didn't even know her name, but it felt like she understood a pain he couldn't explain. After a long silence, she added, "You don't have to figure it all out today. Time, it heals more than we give it credit for." As the wind brushed past them, Aarav felt a strange calm wash over him. For the first time in months, he didn't feel alone. When he finally turned to ask for her name, she was already walking away, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, vanishing into the fading light. He stood there for a long time, watching the river flow beneath him. Maybe his father had been right all along. The current never really stops moving. And neither would he. The next morning, Aarav woke up with heavy eyes and an aching heart. The memory of the woman on the bridge still lingered. Her calm voice, her words about time, and the quiet strength in her eyes. He didn't even know her name. But somehow, her presence had left a mark deeper than he expected. He looked around his small apartment. Half-packed boxes, unpaid bills, a desk cluttered with rejection letters. For a moment, he thought of giving up, packing everything, and returning to his hometown. But something inside him whispered, "Not yet." He made a cup of tea, opened his laptop, and began searching for any job he could find. Not his dream job, not even close. Just something to keep him moving. Days turned into weeks. He started working as an assistant at a small bookstore downtown. A quiet place that smelled of paper, dust, and forgotten dreams. The pay was meager, but the peace was priceless. He found comfort in the silence of the aisles, the rhythm of sorting books, and the occasional small talk with customers who shared bits of their lives through stories they loved. Sometimes, after closing, he'd walk to the same bridge, half hoping to see that mysterious woman again, half knowing he probably never would. But one rainy evening, fate decided to surprise him. As he crossed the familiar path to the bridge, umbrella in hand, he saw her. Standing exactly where she had been that night, sketchbook open, the rain soaking her hair. "You again," he said, a hint of disbelief in his tone. She turned and smiled, as if she'd been expecting him all along. "You took your time." He chuckled softly. "Wes, I needed it." They stood there for a moment, the rain falling between them like a curtain of silver. He offered her his umbrella, and she shook her head, laughing. "Artists and rain have a strange friendship," she said. Aarav found himself smiling. A genuine, unforced smile he hadn't felt in months. They talked for hours that night. Her name was Maya. She was a painter who sold small portraits to make ends meet, still chasing her own dream of hosting an exhibition one day. Like him, she had faced failures that almost broke her. But unlike him, she had learned to see them differently. "Failures," she said softly, "are just edits in the story we're meant to write." Something about those words sank deep into his chest. That night, as he walked home, something inside him shifted. He realized he'd been treating every failure as a full stop, when, in truth, they were just commas, pauses before the next chapter. Weeks passed. Aarav and Maya became close, not in a romantic way, but in that rare, grounding kind of friendship that pulls you back to life. They'd meet at the bridge often, sharing stories, coffee, or just silence. One day, as they sat there watching the sunset, Maya pulled out a new sketchbook and handed it to him. "For you," she said. "I've seen how you look at the world. You have stories in your eyes. You just need to start writing them." Aarav hesitated. "May, I'm not a writer." Maya smiled knowingly. "Neither was I an artist until I picked up a pencil." Those words stuck with him. That night, he sat down and began typing. About his father, his failures, his loneliness, the bridge, and the stranger who told him that time heals everything. He didn't plan it. He just poured his heart onto the screen. One story became two, two became 10. Within months, Aarav started a small blog called Wordy Tales. He wrote about people like him, ordinary souls facing extraordinary pain. He didn't expect anyone to read them. But slowly messages began to appear in his inbox. "Your story made me cry. Thank you, I needed this today. I was about to give up, but now I'll try one more time." Each comment was a spark, and soon the flame grew brighter. His stories started spreading online. Simple, heartfelt words that resonated with thousands. And then, one evening, he returned to the bridge with a printed copy of his latest story titled, "When Life Feels Unfair. Remember this." He wanted to give it to Maya, to thank her for being the reason he found his way again. But when he reached the bridge, she wasn't there. He waited. For an hour, then two. The sky darkened, and the cold wind whispered through the trees. She never came. Days passed, then weeks. He asked around, visited the art stalls downtown, even checked the local gallery. But no one knew her. It was as if she had vanished, like a dream that fades when you open your eyes. One evening, as he walked home past a small art exhibition, he stopped. There, among dozens of paintings, was one that froze him in place. It was a watercolor of the bridge at sunset, the same bridge where they had met. And on the bottom corner, signed in neat letters, were the words, "For those still waiting for time to heal, it will. Maya." Tears blurred his vision. He didn't know where she was now, or if he'd ever see her again. But in that moment, he realized something profound. She had given him the strength to stand, to rebuild, to believe again. He looked up at the night sky and whispered, "Thank you." The years later, Aarav's YouTube channel Wordy Tales had millions of subscribers. His voice reached across continents, sharing stories of hope, loss, and healing, stories born from that one night on the bridge. And every time he ended a video, he'd say the same words. The words Maya had once told him. "When life feels unfair, don't rush the pain. Time knows what it's doing. Just keep moving. The current will carry you home."